Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Procedurally Generated Show. I'm your host, Tony, and joining me, as he does for just about every episode, I've got Ethan.
You ever wonder how they put the little M on the M&M?
I mean, I probably have at some point. I assume it's just, like
A stamp?
yeah, sugar stamped on there or something, or like they remove the color from the shell somehow. I don't know.
Maybe there's like a sprayer and the M is like held up on a little piece of paper and just spray, so that way you just, yeah.
It could be. I don't know. That's a good question. I've never actually looked into how they put the M on an M&M or
The S on the Skittle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the N on Nerd.
There's no N on Nerd.
Have you looked at a Nerd?
No, not closely.
It's really very small.
So, Nerds.
Yeah, the little N on Nerds.
I didn't know there was an N on Nerds.
You know, someone's going to hear this and they're going to say, no, there isn't. And then I'm going to be like, present evidence.
I'm going to have to go buy a box of Nerds because I don't remember ever seeing anything on a Nerd.
There's a hard candy shell. Nerds are pretty good. They're like a sour little hard candy. I like those.
They're really good.
And no, there's not an N on them at all. I just don't bother correcting me. It's a bit, people.
Yeah. I really like them. They're very good.
You ever tried a Nerds rope?
I love those, actually.
Pretty good. And the Nerds clusters are good too.
Also very good.
Have you tried the Nerds slush at Sonic?
My kids get that all the time. I never have gotten that. I usually, if I get a slush, I just get a plain like grape slush.
I somehow got Shelby to get me one time. That was the first time I tried it.
But all of my kids, if we go to Sonic, they get the slush, whether it's blue raspberry or grape or whatever. They get it with Nerds.
As one does.
I mean, yeah, that's what you do when you're 11 years old. You get as much candy as your parents will legally let you.
Oh, I did this when I was like 30.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know when I hung out with Shelby that one time. I don't know how old I was.
If you're 30, you don't have to ask for permission. You just do
it. He's like, hey, what do you want to drink? I'm just like,
Give me a slush with candy, please. That sounds like a great idea. You know what else sounds like a great idea? Exploring spooky places in the dark.
When's the last time you did that?
It's been a long time.
You find anything good in there?
No.
Oh.
No, you usually never find anything good in spooky places in the dark.
You know, I can actually agree to that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Maybe you just find, bones of dead people.
Or just green dots from a Kinect camera on the wall.
I love how we've advanced to a point in society where a Microsoft video game product that was ill received, by the way, and had a second rendition that was even worse received, expanded to ghost hunting.
I mean, hey, they'll use whatever they can get to make their claims seem plausible.
And I know you're talking about the dots projector. I'm legitimately talking about they use the motion tracker and a skeletal system attachment thing for those.
Yeah, I've seen videos of that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I guess you're trying to allude to me playing Phasmophobia.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Played Phasmophobia. Played it with Cole, played it with Stuart, played it with Jay. Did I play it with Jason this week? Probably played it with Jason this week. I don't know. All signs probably say yes, they do, but we have been tearing that game up. We finished the winter stuff on there. It seems they did the how do I explain this? for Halloween they did the Blood Moon event where you had to go and find these little blood moon totems scattered about various locations, and you get a picture of them. Each time you get a picture, the ghost would kind of ramp up in its anger, I guess is a good way to say it. And they made it a community event where each picture you took a picture added to the overall percentage. For Christmas, it was go from the present, get a picture of the ghost, and live and identify it and get out. Kind of a real cop-out on there, I guess, is a good way to say it, and just recycling their previous event, but making it lamer. The Christmas
That's never
event,
a good way to describe something.
Oh, it really isn't. Because, like, we hardly did any of the Christmas maps, and we all got the full bounty, because there's like 3 tiers that have to be done, and like tier 1 is the card, tier 2 is the animated card, tier 3 is what is tier 3? I forget what tier 3 is. It's not really important, doesn't matter. But tier 3, the trophy on the wall, that's what it was. But comparing it to last year it's just, all right, we need to go to the asylum. We got to find this, and this, and we're going to build a little gun that shoots ice. And then you had to go to the maps and the specific maps for the event and find little haunted snowmen, and you had to shoot them.
Interesting.
And it's like once you cleared all of them, then it would cause Santa to come hunt you down. Ghost Santa, Krampus.
Krampus, yeah. Well, he's mad you killed all his friends.
Yeah, so basically it's like get pictures of him, identify him, whatever ghost type he is, and get out. It was really cool. It was fun. It was a real challenge to try to complete the thing. No, they go and replace it with this. It's like, I would expect that crap from Destiny, but this isn't Destiny.
No, it is definitely not Destiny.
Where they're just rehashing the same Halloween and Christmas event for the last 4 or 5 years at this point. Not even fun to do anymore.
Yeah, it's just like you're just completing busy work.
Yeah. Other than Phasmophobia, though, there's been some Danganronpa V3.
Okay.
It's been the weekly stream. I know I've probably mentioned this over and over and over. I'm assuming I've mentioned it over since it is a weekly game I do. Which I won't be able to play next week because New Year's, actually, yeah, when we're by the time this is out, it'll already be too late. So we played twice this week on there. We're on the final chapter. We just entered the final trial. That game is bananas, not pizza.
Nope, not pizza.
I'm really interested in where this story's going. Things
have you
happen.
Not played this before?
I have never finished this one.
Okay.
It's like I was hyped for the first game, the second game, that Ultra Despair Girls on the Vita, and I got to do the review for that. Remember how happy I was on that one, man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then this one came out, and I just kind of meh, just fell off the world there for me. And Shelby, he's been waiting for me to play it so he could talk about it. And what little I've tried to talk to him about, he doesn't remember. So it's been a while. It's been a long while.
Yeah.
So he's probably not going to want to talk about it. So yay! But that will definitely knock one off the list there. So I'm happy with this. And unfortunately, I can't say too much because the story on there, I don't want to spoil anything. But it is a really good story. And
it's really hard to talk about, visual novel style games like that because they are so story focused.
Yes, and it's like you say one thing, and it's like, oh, this character dies, and it's just you're attached to that person like from the first of the game, and just no, my favorite character is now gone. Great, thanks. it's like you've ruined the movie for them. They don't want to watch that movie now because, like, Johnny Cage dying at the start of a Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
What?
Yeah, someone got mad because I said that. It's like, oh, he died in 5 minutes of the movie, dude. Get over it.
Yeah.
And he refuses to watch that movie to this day, as far as I know.
That's crazy. People are always like, I don't want to talk to you about this because of spoilers. I'm like, I don't care about spoilers. That doesn't ruin the story for me. Because I still get the journey of seeing and where they go from one thing to the thing that you spoiled. And it's still interesting. So, you know, there are some things that I'm like, don't tell me anything. I want to go into this completely fresh. But for most things, I don't care about spoilers. It does not bother me one bit.
Well, it's like watching Sonic 3. You knew from the end of Sonic 2, Shadow showing up. And if you didn't see any of the advertising somehow, how did you not? How?
Yeah, if you missed every trailer for the movie that was ever released.
Every trailer, every hype moment that was mentioned. Oh, man. The posters. Oh, by the way,
this movie was
Shadow's in Sonic 3, by the way.
Yeah, the movie should just basically have been called Shadow the Hedgehog.
Such a good movie, too, man. Let's see. You know how we have a thing about owning video games for a console we do not own?
Yes, I think everybody who's been on the podcast has done that before. They've bought things for systems they don't own.
Yeah, it's like I bought Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, which meant I had to go get an Xbox so I could have the Xbox version of that game playable, because the Jamasvu mission on that was not on PlayStation, and I didn't have a guarantee it would be, so I wanted to play it on both.
Yeah.
So I had to go get an Xbox to play that. And then there was a time Jason sent me a copy of Policenauts for the 3DO, I think. And so I had to go and buy that console. My older sister did something bad.
Oh no.
She gave me a box. Not a big box, but a box big enough to hold 12 Odyssey 2 game carts.
Okay.
I've never owned an Odyssey or Odyssey 2. Which, if I'm not mistaken, the Odyssey was the first home video game console?
I believe so, yes. Magnavox was the manufacturer.
I've never owned one, so I'm just like, these are really cool. They look like Atari game carts, but they're slightly smaller and more handy. They have little handles. They're awesome. And they you can stack them easier too. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a little box full of these, and I'm just like, these are really cool. She got them at a garage sale. She showed me a box in a picture. I was like, oh, how much are they wanting for them? And she just ignored me completely after showing me. And this was like a month or two ago.
Yeah. And
I got mad and just, all right, whatever, fine, be that way. So she gave me this box full of these, and I said, how much did you pay for this? She said, nothing. They gave them to me.
Really?
Yes. But it gets worse. There was also a Commodore 64 cart in there.
Oh gosh.
I don't own that either.
Well, now you have a reason to get one.
I don't plan on buying either console.
I think both of those are pretty expensive at this point.
Maybe. I do know, I think it was my brother-in-law, he texted me about 2 years ago. He was like, hey, do you want this? I'm trying to get rid of it. I said yes. He had an Odyssey 2. And he's never given it to me. And he was looking at it, he's like, oh yeah, I have this game and that game. And in my head, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I bet you do have these games for that console you never gave to me.
Yeah. I've bought things for systems I don't own, and I was in my local store the other day, Game Exchange, and they had a copy of it was Final Fantasy IV
Ooh.
with the after years,
Oh.
and
That's what PSP or DS?
it was PS1 actually.
PS1. Oh, wow. I didn't know After Years was on that.
Maybe it was just Final Fantasy IV. I don't remember, but I almost bought it, and I don't own a PS1.
You have a PS3, don't you?
I technically do, but my child who lives in Tulsa currently has it.
How dare that child?
I do have a PS2 out in the garage.
So you have a PS1 somewhere.
So the only PlayStation system I don't currently own is a PS1.
As long as you have a PS2 or a PlayStation 3, you have a PS1 at hand.
Yeah. Just like the only Xbox that I don't currently own is the original Xbox. I have all the others.
Yeah, I really need to replace mine or fix that capacitor that blew up in there. There is a game I want to stream that can only be played on original Xbox.
Yeah. There have been some Xbox games that I wanted to get, but I held off because I don't have an Xbox One, and it's not one of the ones they're not some of the ones that are backwards compatible.
Yeah. Like Castlevania, Curse of Darkness.
Yeah.
But I guess I could get the PS2 or GameCube version of it and play it. But who would do such a thing? Not me. Anyway, Tony, what have you been playing?
Oh my gosh, I have been playing some great video games lately. Still plugging away through Dragon Quest 3.
Yeah.
I am getting frustrated with that game though, because the difficulty spikes are ridiculous in that game. Like, it's so grindy. Like, they have not fixed it. In fact, it seems to me like they have made the grind worse in this version of the game.
They may
compared to the originals. Whereas, like the Final Fantasy pixel remasters give you all kinds of ways to like super fast level up, get gold, all that stuff. And they haven't done anything like that with the Dragon Quest stuff.
I think what they did on this one was just make a difficulty slider for you to turn the difficulty down at will.
There are 3 different difficulty levels. There's Dragon Quest, there's another one that's harder, and then there's Draki Quest, which is like their easy mode, which basically makes the combat unimportant and you can just focus on the story.
Yeah, and you literally can't die in that combat. You go down to 1 HP and nothing lower.
I'm getting very close to just turning on Draki mode and playing the rest of the game that way. But I'm not doing it yet. But it just seems like every time I come up to another boss, I have to grind 2 or 3 more levels after I, get trounced by them the first time. And it's just happening over and over and over again with every boss. Whereas previously, it felt like I was always slightly over leveled. Even when I would change jobs and, get my characters who switched, who started back at level 1 and got them back up to where they were, it felt like I was always just at or slightly above where I needed to be to fight the bosses. And this one, it just feels like I'm hitting a wall every time I come up against one of the boss fights.
Would it be... This is just my own curiosity. Would it make more sense in this game when you change someone's job, which converts them back down to level 1 for whatever that job is? Does it make more sense just to do it for one character, take them out and get them up to a steady level, and then switch someone else over, or does it matter?
To me, I think it would make more sense to do one character at a time, because if you do multiples, you're going to basically you're going to have to start the game, over basically, and just go through all the different places. Whereas if you've got one character that you're trying to, power level a little bit, as long as they don't get attacked by some of the monsters, you can get for the first few fights. Like I think when I changed the job for the character I named after you, I went from like level 1 to level 6 after the first fight. So I mean, it was super fast.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. It's like if you had to go grind somewhere where they can easily live through something, or if you can just protect them long enough to power them up, or certain stats carried over to make them strong enough to actually withstand stuff.
Well, I mean, you do have things that carry over from your previous job. Mostly, I mean, all of your skills carry over, but then your stats are slightly boosted from what they would have been if you picked the new job from the beginning. So your HP starts higher, your MP starts higher, your luck, all of that stuff is boosted a little bit.
Okay.
And so it didn't take long for the character who's job I changed to get to where their HP was basically the same as everybody else's, and he's only I think at level 11 or level 12 right now, and everybody else is level 22, 23. So by the time that character gets to level 22 and 23, he's going to have like twice as much HP as everybody else.
Okay.
So
It's very beneficial, in other words, to do it.
I mean, yeah, it is. It is very beneficial to change jobs, and even to do it kind of multiple times throughout the game. So you can have a character who goes through 2 or 3 job changes, and they become very powerful by the end of the game. But I mean, overall, the game is. I love the game. I love the update. I love all the quality of life stuff. But it just feels like I'm hitting a brick wall all the time in this version of the game, and I hope they take that feedback for
1 and 2,
the 1 and 2 remakes that are coming out next year.
Wonder if they could also do like a quality of life update for that as well on the current one.
I mean, I'm sure they probably could. They could go in with an update and give you XP boosts and gold boosts, because it also feels like you don't get as much money in this one, and I don't know if it's accurate. I haven't done a lot of one-to-one comparisons just to see, but it just, my feeling is you don't get as much XP and you don't get as much gold as you did in the previous versions of the game with Dragon Quest III.
Okay.
The remake. But the other game that I've been playing, and the game that is phenomenal, I absolutely love this game, is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
See, I thought you were like alluding to finding dangerous stuff in the dark on that game.
I mean, there are some dangerous things in the dark in that game, but not nearly as spooky as like Phasmophobia.
Yeah, true.
But oh my goodness, this game is so good. It's developed by Machine Games, who are most recently known for the Wolfenstein franchise.
Oh, right. Yeah. Wait. Is there an RPG mechanic in this?
There is some, yes. You will find. I mean, it's a very small, limited RPG mechanic. It's basically.
Go ahead.
It's basically making yourself a better fighter. So you'll be exploring the world, and you'll find these things that little pieces of paper that can't remember exactly what they say, but they'll make you a better brawler, so your hits will hit harder, or you have the ability to dodge faster, or something like that. So you have these things that are optional. You don't have to use them. You can basically start out as Indiana Jones and never improve any of his skills throughout the entire game, and it's perfectly it's a feasible strategy if that's what you want to do. But this feels so much like you're just playing through a movie. The story is excellent. I am loving everything about it so far. It's pretty heavy on cutscenes. not like super heavy, but there are a lot of cutscenes, and they really want to show off the fact that they have young-ish Indiana Jones. This movie takes place between Raiders and The Last Crusade. I think it takes
Oh,
place in 1936, 1937, somewhere around there.
what I have seen is that like that one scene from the start of oh gosh, which one is it with the boulder?
Raiders.
Raiders. Thank you. uh, sorry, I mean the Indiana Jones movies all kind of run together in my head here, but except for two of them. But Raiders, they was doing the comparison for the temple run there,
Yeah.
and most people were just annoyed by like a game or a movie from what, mid-80s, is that right?
Yes.
And comparing it to a game from 2024, and like that one guy that when he's like, throw me the idol and the whip or something like that, and then he doesn't throw it back or something, and then he's like stabbed in the wall later. They're like, the movie had so much more gore on his head,
Yeah.
and the game can't for a rating.
Yeah, they're trying to keep the rating down and keep it from being an M rating. Which makes sense.
Yeah, it's like I get that. At the same time, you're trying to stay true to the movie, and it's like, why can't we do that? Why? Literally, why?
Yeah. That scene was one of the first things that they started showing off with for all the marketing of the game, and I was like, I really hope that this is not just like, remember this from this Indiana Jones movie, and remember that from this Indiana Jones movie, and that's the only thing that is like a direct callback to one of the other parts of the franchise, and it was really clever the way they did it. It's the very first thing you do in the game. Like you open tutorial, up, right? It's essentially your tutorial, yes. And then they cleverly find a way to weave that into the story so that it doesn't. It's not just, hey, here's this thing that you remember from Indiana Jones. Please like this game. But it is an excellent game. It is very focused on exploration and stealth, just like the movies. It is not a combat heavy game. You're not shooting everything in the world. So, people compare, the Uncharted franchise, the Tomb Raider franchise to, Indiana Jones. And the thing about those games, to me, it feels like that those things are just, murder simulators with an archaeology coating on the top.
Very much so, yes, especially Uncharted.
And this is not. Like, I think I've used a gun a total of one time in the entire 12, 13 hours I've put into the game so far. And that was only because I was doing this thing and I couldn't figure out exactly how to beat this guy that was coming down a ladder in a submarine. And I had done it like 5 times. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to shoot the guy and get it over with so I can move on. And I did. That's the only time that I've used a gun that wasn't specifically required, because there's a set piece level that uses a gun and has a very funny callback to the airplane dogfight scene from Last Crusade with Sean Connery.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's clever. I really like that callback. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't shot the tail of my plane off, if that line wouldn't have been spoken. But I was not very careful with the machine gun shooting down planes that were flying after me. And of course, I took out the tail rudder, the rudder of the airplane. There's some clever little callbacks to previous games, some mentions of other characters like Sala, Belloc, Brody, who are all big names in the Indiana Jones franchise. But it feels very much like you are playing an Indiana Jones movie. The cutscenes are done really well. They feel like they could take all the gameplay out, shove the cutscenes together, and it would probably make a really good Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah. It'd be a little weird with complete CGI one, but Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Troy Baker does a phenomenal job as Indiana Jones in this. It's almost impossible to tell whether you're listening to him or Harrison Ford speaking. He has that voice down, and it is really, really good. The visuals they're good. They're not great. There are times where it looks very much like you're looking at Harrison Ford, and then there are other times where some of the motion capture stuff gets a little wonky, and it feels like Troy Baker cosplaying as Harrison Ford. Um, so like some of the facial expressions that you would expect to see are slightly off. So it's that weird uncanny valley thing,
Hmm.
but not enough to like completely pull you out of the experience. Um, the stealth stuff is really good. It's not super complicated. You're not getting overwhelmed by guys that you have to then, it's not like a Metal Gear Solid game where if one guy sees you, you then have to,
Find an
restart,
army.
shoot your way out, or whatever. You're literally sneaking by one or two or three guys at a time. Um, and there's stuff everywhere. Like you can pick up a shovel, you can pick up a frying pan, you can pick up brooms, anything like that. And if you are successful in sneaking up to one of the enemies, you can take them out in one hit. He'll take the broom and he'll stick it between their legs and pull them off their feet onto the ground and then hit them in the back of the head to knock them out. Um, and do things like that. It's just I'm very surprised at how much I am enjoying this game and just how it feels like a proper continuation of the Indiana Jones franchise. And I saw some stuff on Twitter today that apparently Disney is very, very happy with the reception to this game, and this is probably not going to be the last game that they get to do in the franchise.
I hope they're happy with it. They have a
So
tendency to release games that do pretty good, and then they're just like, yeah, let's buy and kill off the studio here, or cancel rights here.
I mean,
So
it's
it's like,
apparently selling pretty well. It's not selling 50 million copies or whatever, but
it's a $70 video game.
it's doing well enough outside of Game Pass, and then Game Pass on top of that is just a bonus. I have plans to go out and buy this game and own a copy of it. I've been playing it through Game Pass, but it's just so good. And I can't wait to see what they do with this franchise going forward.
Yeah, I'll probably download that later.
Like I am loving. I've loved every minute of this game. It definitely you are focused mostly on exploration, and there's a lot of times you can just walk around. Like you'll be there's a section where you go to Egypt, and if you find a costume that lets you look like one of the dig site workers, you can just walk around and nobody thinks anything of you being there except for a very small handful of people. So it's not like you're even having to stealth your way around the entire game. Like even the stealth part is a pretty small portion of what you're doing because in I think just about every section of the game there's a costume that will let you just basically roam the area and just do what you need to do as long as you're not doing things that are very clearly drawing attention to yourself.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are sections that are, restricted areas that even if you're dressed in the costume, you have to sneak your way around. But even those sections are pretty easy to get around. There's multiple paths you can take. There's multiple ways to attack everything that you're doing. So it's such a fantastic video game, and I have heard almost universal praise for it from people online. Like I've seen very little negativity about the game so far.
Awesome.
And right now, it is only out on Xbox. It's coming out on PS5 sometime in the spring, I think.
Okay. You'll probably sell a lot more there too, because you got a split audience at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably will.
But also having access to it on PC, that's helped a lot.
Yeah, and I have played it on PC through cloud. I tried downloading it on my PC, but apparently my graphics card is not good enough to play the game. So I've just been playing it through cloud, and it works great, and it looks great, and it's super responsive. So I have actually at one point there was one day that I played the game on the Xbox, and then I went and played a little bit on the PC, and then after I went to bed, I was like, I want to play some more of this. So I grabbed my phone and played a little bit on my phone. So I played it on 3 different systems, basically, all in the same day.
Jeez.
And it's so nice to have that Xbox thing just sync your save up no matter where you are. And one of the cool things, last thing I'm going to mention about it, one of the cool things that I really like, it's a silly, simple little touch, but there's no dedicated like title screen. When you boot the game up, it goes back to exactly where you were standing, and it has the menu on there, and you just click resume, and it's right back into the game.
It's like the menu fades off, and you're just right there.
Yep, there's no loading,
nothing.
That's
so cool.
The menu just disappears, and it goes. You're seeing Indy from third person, but the game is a first person game, so the menu disappears. You go into first person, and then you're off in like seconds. So it's such a nice little touch. But that is what I have been playing this week. I am almost done with it. I'm on. I think I'm in the last area. So I'm very close to the end of the game. So by this time next week, by the next episode, I should be done with the game.
Okay.
So, but that is what I have been playing. Let's talk game of the year. It is that time of the year. It is the end of December. We have both played a bunch of things this year. So let's just talk about what our 5 favorite games of the year were. And we'll just go back and forth.
For fun, I do want to mention this. Because Tony, you're like, hey, let's do our top 5 games of the year on the show tonight. Are there any categories you'd like? I mentioned best game ignored by the Game Awards.
Okay.
Best speedrunner.
Okay.
Yeah, the answer to that one is all of them. Another way to include myself.
I would have said, Ethan is my favorite speedrunner.
And then the last category. This is better than the game. The best. This is better than the actual game of the year. Best Ethan.
Okay. Best Ethan. How many Ethans have there been in games this year?
Oh man, this year I think there was at least 2. If not, at least 1. Then I forget the game.
I mean, you are technically in Dragon Quest 3 because I named a character after you. So
yeah, I meant like an officially named character. Actually, I just kind of meant Ethan in general, but in video games, like oh gosh, what was that? Like if we had a Mission Impossible, you got Ethan Hunt, so there's a good Ethan right there.
Yeah.
If we had like a re-release of Condemned: Criminal Origins, you play as Ethan. Something on that one. I forget his last name.
There's another game that I can.
No, was it Criminal Origins? No. I forget it. I don't know. Anyway, those are just joke. Well, one of those was a joke category, and the other 2 are kind of serious.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to dwell too long on those, so that's why I was like, let's dump those to our game of the year and call it good.
Okay. Let's get honorable mentions out of the way first instead of doing those at the end.
Okay.
I have 3 that I wanted to mention. All of them are remakes or re-releases. So I didn't put them on my list. They are Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, which is a great game. I'm just, frustrated with some things about it. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD,
I've played that.
which was a great remake.
I haven't finished it. I want to get to it again.
Re-release of that game. And then Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which
wonderful game.
Would have been on my top 5 list, but I pulled that to the honorable mentions since it's a remake and didn't want to put it up there.
My honorable mentions, I'm on Observation Duty 7.
Okay, that's a good game.
While I am playing it, I am not the one playing it, if that makes sense.
Well, that's how we do Observation Duty. Jason plays it while we all play alongside him.
I buy the games on my account. Jason has access to whatever games I buy for now, which that's going away next month, so we kind of need to finish this game or something. Or I'll have to be the one playing and streaming it to y'all and selecting stuff, and I honestly don't want to do that. I like getting distracted by my phone and looking up from there. But yeah, Observation Duty 7, great game series, except for the third game, garbage. I enjoy it's on my list because I enjoy playing it with y'all and doing it for stream. Yep. Persona 3 Reload, yeah. Because the Persona series is just really, really awesome. And I just bought the game like a couple days ago. So I haven't started it yet. If I was smart, I would have bought it on the Xbox side and got the free Answer DLC, but meh. Got it on Steam. So I have 3, 4, and 5 on Steam now. And my last one is, you know what, we'll come to my last one later and I'll explain why.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just go from the bottom of our lists to the top. What is your number 5 game for 2024?
My number 5 is UFO 50.
Nice.
It's not 1, it's not 2, but 50 games.
That seems like cheating.
A little bit.
To get that many games on your Game of the Year list.
This was developed and published by Mossmouth. This collection of games came out September of this year. As far as I know, it's only on Steam. There's not too much of a reason why it couldn't be on console.
I think it is. I think it's just on Steam, but I also think I've heard there may be some talks of bringing it to console at some point.
It's a real simple game. I don't see why they couldn't at all, unless they just haven't gone that far.
Yeah.
But it's retro games it's a huge variety of, or collection of games, and it's like, oh, these are all forgotten games from like the mid to late 80s, and they get dusted off once you play them. So then it's like, okay, cool, now I can play this one.
Yeah,
and the cards turn different colors as you progress, beat, or get the cherry mission done. So I did the first game I played was Min and Max. That's you explore a world by shrinking. There's a game that's very much a cut and paste of Blaster Master.
Okay.
Oh man, there's various RPGs. I can't do it justice just saying this. So if you get a chance, check it out. And if you're like unhappy with all the games in there, well, that's on you. I mean, there's 50 games in there. They're pretty much all different. Yeah. Tony, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is I think, first of all, this is the first time I think I've done a Game of the Year list, and all of my games on the list came out in the year that we're talking about. So all of mine are 2024 releases. This is the first time I think this has ever happened in the history of my Game of the Year list. Um, but my first one is one that we will probably not see another entry in the franchise for a while, and that is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
This was
That
the
is,
Metroidvania style one, right?
yeah, this is Metroidvania. You're going around exploring a map. It's side scrolling, just like, classic Prince of Persia. Um, but then it does a lot of cool stuff, quality of life, like being able to take a picture of what you're looking at so that you can go back and remember what you needed to be able to progress past a place that you've gotten stuck. It looks great. I think the story was really good. The combat is super tight and very, very. It's difficult, but not unfair. Um, it was a great game, and I think it got overlooked. And it's sad that we probably will not see another game. We won't see a sequel to this one, and may not see another Prince of Persia for a little while. So,
Yeah,
but it's a great game.
I'd say like the modern day fans of the Prince of Persia series are spoiled by the Sands of Time, and then the one where you have like the Dark Prince thing that you could do, the Devil Trigger looking thing.
Yeah.
So they're probably spoiled by that stuff. I don't know. They don't
Yeah,
know the origins of this series.
And this game at this point is pretty cheap. Like, you can find it for $20 just about anywhere at this point on any system. So, if you're wanting a Metroidvania style, just really, really good game, I would check out Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I loved it. What's your number 4?
Coming in at number 4, we have Castlevania Dominus Collection.
I'm sensing a theme where you're just putting
collections
game
out
collections
here
together to get as many games on this list as you can.
I told you before we started, my list is 58 games.
That's a lot of games.
So the Castlevania Dominus Collection, it is the Nintendo DS games of Castlevania that were released with Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, and Order of Ecclesia.
Mm-hmm.
Along with, oh gosh, I've already forgotten the name of the arcade game.
Haunted Castle.
Haunted Castle, the original Haunted Castle, and then an updated version of that as well.
Yeah, they did a remake of it.
Yeah,
for the collection.
So, first time it's available stateside, I guess is a way to say that.
Yeah, I think so. It was Japan exclusive before this, I think.
Yeah, and it's really just Castlevania 1. That's what it is. It's but arcade style is what it was. So you handle that one with how you will. But Dominus Collection, the main meat of it is the DS games.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working on those kind of since it came out. I think I waited a month or so before. I don't know. But I beat Order of Ecclesia first, then I went down to Portrait of Ruin, and I am working through Dawn of Sorrow right now.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have been done with it, but I decided to hop over to the original or not the original. I hopped over to the Advanced Collection so I could be Aria of Sorrow, that came out before Dawn of Sorrow, because that story connects. That's a direct sequel, so I wanted to complete the story in my head, I guess, or whatever.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, and now I'm on the in-game path for Dawn of Sorrow. But I'm doing soul farming right now to max out stuff and complete the collection of everything I need.
Okay.
What is your number 4?
My number 4 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
Ooh.
This is probably my favorite Call of Duty since Infinite Warfare. This campaign was really, really good. It was really solid. It felt structured. Like they were trying to tell a very specific story. They wanted you to do very specific things.
And you said no.
I'm going the other direction. No, that's not not at all. I was very glad that it got rid of a lot of the open world stuff that some of the previous games had, where it just felt like the levels were too big. There was too much stuff going on. This is very much you're doing this, and you're gonna like it. I've touched the multiplayer a little bit. I hate competitive multiplayer. I'm not good at it, so I don't care about that. But the gameplay itself in the campaign is really good, and it, like I said, it is the first time since Infinite Warfare that I've really found myself just wanting to continue the campaign as much as I could. It's such a good game. Like the zombies mode is really good. I really do like the zombies mode. That is a bit extraction shooter. Very it's a smaller maps that you have the ability to expand over time, but after specific waves of zombies, you have the ability to take all of the stuff that you've gathered, the money, the loot, all of it, and go to an extraction area and get out without losing any of it.
Basically cashing in and leaving the table at Vegas.
Yeah. So Black Ops 6 is a really, really good game. I think their best campaign that they've had in a while. And I know a lot of people are very happy with the multiplayer. It's got some new movement stuff where you can like dive through doorways and do all kinds of stuff. It's really fast paced. It's not something I'm interested in, but the campaign itself was really, really good. And I found myself wanting to go back through it. I haven't yet, but wanting to. The campaign features a really interesting twist about halfway through, where the game switches from a straight up like action shooter to a control style, just weird. Some strange stuff happens in the middle of that campaign for a couple of missions, and then it goes back to let's get back to the action. That's what people really want, and let's just shoot things. So It was a nice change of pace for a very limited amount of time. It's like 20 or 30 minutes in the middle of the game where it just is like, we're going to do something completely different for a little while and then go back. So
keeping it fresh.
Really, really like Black Ops. Huh?
Keeping it fresh, I guess.
Yeah. So that is my number 4. What do you have at number 3?
I have Phasmophobia.
Okay.
This game originally came out like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago.
This game is getting old at this point.
Yeah. And apparently it is still in early access according to Steam.
Really?
I know this because I just looked up the developer so I could talk about who it was, which is Kinetic Games, and it said early access.
Okay.
The reason I have it as my number 3, and it may have been on the previous list at some point. It officially released for console. I didn't buy it for console. Cole has bought it for console.
Okay.
And he has not been able to play it with us before. And he is like been dead set on playing this. He's like almost every day he's like, hey, want to go hunt some ghosts? And I'm like, yeah, give me a little bit. And so we'll go hunt ghosts, get Stuart, get Jason in there, hunt them down, identify them. His level, he's out-leveled Stuart. Stuart and Jason. Jason doesn't play as much as the rest of us, but he's definitely out-leveled Stuart. He would out-level me as well. But I did some additional stuff, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it is kind of nice that I don't have to be the one supplying us with stuff anymore. Because him and Stuart, they're up there in level. They can supply everything. Thanks to the console version, we had that got delayed a year. We've had so much updated. There's a whole tier list of equipment now, tier 1, 2, and 3. There was an announcement of a new item that's going to be added sometime next year, a sound recording device. So I guess they're going to redo the parabolic mic system at some point. They're going to redo the way you take pictures for credit and stars and progress. It's just the way they're improving this game more and more and over, and they're even redoing some of the original maps they released on here fairly soon too. So that's so much to look forward to on here.
Yeah.
If only they'd get their holiday stuff not being so samey.
Okay.
But yeah, Tony, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is the newest entry in the Legend of Zelda series, Echoes of Wisdom.
Oh yeah, Tears of... Oh wait, no, Echoes, yeah.
No, not Tears of the Kingdom. We are talking about the Legend of Link, Echoes of Wisdom.
Well, the Legend of Link, Zelda's Adventure.
Yep. Zelda's Adventure finally got good.
And it's not it's not a CDI game.
No, this was such a good game. Like it was a nice change of pace. It was fun to do things where combat wasn't the main focus. I mean, you still have to fight things, but it was not the main focus. It was more about puzzle solving, traversal of the world, figuring out how to get places that Zelda couldn't reach by using things that she had found in the world, like spiders or beds, which obviously everybody thinks the bed is the best echo in the game, and they're not wrong. It is. It was super versatile. And then when you upgraded your bed and you were able to get out of combat, you could sleep in bed and gain health back without having to find fairies or hearts or whatever.
The gift that keeps on giving. Beds.
Yep. Sleep. Sleep is the best game mechanic of all time. So, but it was great to go back to the world of A Link to the Past, which is what this takes place on that map. Essentially, it's a slightly bigger version of it, but it is the same map from A Link to the Past, and it was fun to revisit that in a way that you hadn't done before. I love 2D Zelda games probably more than the 3D ones. And so being able to get another 2D Zelda game that was really puzzle focused rather than combat focused was really nice. It was such a good game, and even by the end of the game, I hadn't even explored the entire map. There was still probably 20% of the map that was still covered because I hadn't gone everywhere that you could go. So there's still stuff for me to do now that even after I've saved the kingdom and saved Link and finished the game. So, but it was so good. Like I love. They do such interesting things with Zelda, and this was a nice twist on a very familiar formula.
It looked really cute, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's adorable. I love that they kept that Link's Awakening art style. I hope we get. I want them to use it one more time, or two more times technically, to do the Oracle games. I would love to see those get remade in this style. I don't know that we'll get it, but I would really, really like them to do that. So, but that is my number 3. What is your number 2 game for 2024?
Before I get to our number 2, this was my honorable mention, Zelda Echo, the Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Because the reason it's an honorable mention is I just got a copy of it for Christmas. I didn't go out and get the game when it originally released. I wanted it, but I also was like, I know my parents are gonna be like, "Hey, what do we get you for Christmas?" So yeah. I purposely held off just for that reason. So I have not played it. I saw part of a speed run, which did
Okay.
very little on spoil. I mean, I stopped watching the boss fight, so I wouldn't be spoiled there. But I
Hmm.
know nothing of the story, and I've learned nothing outside of what I wouldn't figure out from watching a trailer.
Yeah.
So that is the game is literally sitting right here underneath a really cool little device I'm going to tell you about after we're done recording, Tony.
Okay.
But yeah, my number 2 is Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2.
Well, let's just get that out of the way. That is also my number 2 game for the year.
No way.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't finished the game, but it's pretty fun.
Oh, I have finished it. It was excellent. Like it was almost my number 1 game of the year. I'm a huge 40K fan. Have been for gosh 15, no, more than that, 25 years at this point. Good grief. I started playing Warhammer in 1999.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've been playing Warhammer for a long time and reading the books and uh, consuming. Like, that world is, while it is dark and ugly and not a nice place, I love the universe that Games Workshop has created around Warhammer. Specifically 40K. Fantasy's good too, but there's something that just hits different about 40K, and this game is phenomenal.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed playing this. For me, I've never really hopped into the 40K franchise outside of just trying, I think, Bolt Gun.
Yeah.
uh, and some friends in college seeing them paint their army. That was my experience with 40K. It was just that, and I own like a number of the games in the series.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when this game was first announced, I was like, just give me Gears of War in the 40K universe. And
And they did.
that's sort of what we got. It's not exactly the same. Like there's no cover system, there's nothing like that. Um, but it is you feel the weight of the Marines walking around. You feel like every footstep is just a thud, and there's a heaviness behind it. Everything just is dirty, and it's not a game you're going to play in front of your kids. There's lots of blood. There's all kinds of stuff. It is a dark and just ugly universe. But the game is so good. Like I had not played the first one. I now own a copy of the first game on PC, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to go through and play that a little bit. This takes place a few years after. I mean, I don't know exactly how long after. They mention it in the game itself because in the first game, at the end of it, Titus is basically, you know, blacklisted and is sent to the Death Guard, I believe, and spends 100 years, 200 years, I don't remember exactly what it is, but they mention it in the game. And then he comes back to the Ultramarines, and of course, some of his squad mates are like, we don't trust you. But of course, through the course of the campaign, they begin to understand fully what happened in the past. They, trust Titus by the end. And they've set up what I think will probably be a third game that continues a story beat from the first game, because my brother has played that one and he told me about the first game. There's a connection. There's a character that connects not only Titus, but another character that connects the first game to the second game, and he would be a major factor in the third game as well.
Oh.
And I would tell you off air who that character is.
I'm probably not going to remember who it is.
because I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that hasn't played the game. But if you are a 40K fan, you definitely should play this game. If you like Gears of War, it's a great game for people who like that. Just it's a solid shooter, and just it was a great game. And there's multiplayer stuff. There's 3-player multiplayer. We're playing through the campaign slowly on your file together. It's so good, and there's tons of customization options. I really wish you could bring some of the multiplayer customization over to the single player stuff, because I would love to play as a Space Wolf. They're my favorite faction.
Mm-hmm.
And my multiplayer character is a Space Wolf, but you can't do that for the main campaign.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do for my customized character when I get to that stuff, but I also wish we could do custom characters.
So, but as it's really sort of your introduction to the 40K universe. What do you think so far, with your limited exposure to it, about what 40K is? How are you liking the world or not liking the world? Or
for the 40K universe, my only reference to it has been like the original doing the where you had to fight like the rats or something.
Oh yeah, well that's fantasy. That's completely
right,
separate.
Right. But like in comparison, it's like I'm going from a fantasy to tech on here, and it's like this is way better than what I was doing on that. And
yeah,
and it's like the other games I own. It's like Chaos Gate and Rights of War. I haven't touched either of those games yet. So it's like I kind of need to play my 40K games. Oh, I also have crud. Hold on. Inquisitor, I have Martyr and Prophecy. So it's like I have a multitude of these Warhammer games I just have never touched for 40K or even the original.
Yeah.
Apparently, I own the original Vermintide. And Vermintide, of course, at some point I got Vermintide too. I didn't think I bought that.
Apparently, you did.
Yeah, I didn't get the 40K version. Which we talked about doing that at some point. We never did.
Oh yeah, Darktide.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have not played Darktide yet. So, well, what would be your game of the year for 2024?
All right, my game of the year. Before we do this, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor that we don't actually have.
Sweet Tea. Sweet Tea is the sponsor of this episode.
If you're from the South, there it is. Sweet Tea. My number one game of the year is Stellar Blade.
Okay.
I'll be honest, like there are better games like Space Marine 2 and stuff, but just something about this game, just it looks beautiful. And I don't just mean the female character that you play as or some of your friends that you find on there.
Yeah.
The world looks really good on there. I enjoy it. The exploration's fun. Actually learning how to do the sword combos and the power moves on there has made the game like much easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
Usually with these kind of games, I kind of get into a little button mashing thing on there, but it's like I got go-to combos now. And like the outfits you get for your character, it's like, oh, some of these are actually just kind of fun to get. Like there's a teddy bear outfit that you can wear. And just the world building, like it's talking about humans, and this is a world of similar to I guess Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Like humans don't exist, but everyone on here is human.
Okay.
But they don't. They're half robotic, essentially. It's they're bio-organic. I guess bioroids, I guess is a good way to phrase it. a robotic, like an android or some other cyborg or something. I don't know. But at one point, you run into someone who is possibly 100% human, and everyone's like freaking out over it. Just, I don't know. It's like they're like someone without robotic parts in them. They're so weird. But it's like I enjoyed the story on there. It's just some of it can be fast paced, some of it can be slow paced. It's not quite the Metal Gear Rising itch that I want scratched.
Okay.
But it's pretty close to it, but not quite. It's more along the it's closer to the Bayonetta side, I guess is a good way to say it.
Okay.
And so just some of the updates they've been doing to the game as well have been like quality of life stuff, and of course there was a whole issue with like censorship when the game was originally being talked about. I was like, oh yeah, there's no censorship. And then yes, there was censorship, something censored, but then the developers like, no, we did that for a reason, not Sony. Don't worry. And so okay, well, but even then, it's like it wasn't that big a deal that people were making it out to be. And then I mentioned like the quality of life stuff. Like you play as Eve, and she's got assets, as I'm going to phrase it on here. One of the quality of life things they did was they added physics to it, where like if she's got to like squeeze her arms together, those assets like actually they don't clip through anymore. They now squish.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm bringing it up in such a weird way. It's just nice to see, like they said, hey, the game's great, people are enjoying it, let's make it better. And it's something that I'm going to say like 99% of the games that come out, people don't go and like program for that. There's really no reason to. It's like, yeah, just let the body part kind of clip through itself on there. Don't worry about it. And they went and fixed it.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a respect for these developers. The game was adequately fun for me to enjoy. I want more. I want more rock in my games, more fast-paced action. But this was pretty good.
Sure.
So yeah, the only reason it's beating Space Marine 2 is because I'm considering that a game to play with y'all. I haven't finished it because one, Cole doesn't have. He has a copy. He's just not able to play it. Two, we haven't been able to play it together because you were trying to live.
Yeah, it's been very difficult with health issues. So
yeah, this game that I got, it was a fun thing to go through by myself and just like chill. And it's like, there we go. That's all I needed. Just something to do, fun side quests with, build friendships, just run out and do. I think I can go fishing on. Yeah, there's fishing in this game. I could fish up like a whale shark.
Nice.
Tony, what's your number one?
What's up? My game of the year. I have already talked about it to death in this episode, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but Indiana Jones and the Great Circle snuck in there at the last minute to make it onto the top of my game of the year list. I love the Indiana Jones franchise, and this just feels like a proper addition to the film series, and it's just such a good game. I could just talk about it for hours. I absolutely love this game. So no surprise that Indiana Jones is my game of the year for 2024.
You definitely talked me into wanting to play that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And I think it might be one of Tony Todd's last acting credits before he died. I'm not entirely sure. I have to look it up and see. He plays one of the villain slash not villains in the game. Yeah, it is in fact his last acting credit listed on IMDb. So
Wow.
such a good game. Such a good game.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. There's DLC for this coming out soon, so there's more story stuff or another story bit that's coming at some point. So I need to get through this so that I can play that when it comes out.
We need one where we need a modern one where we play as what Short Round would be today.
Oh my. Well, I mean
he's already working for Disney.
If it was set in modern day, he'd be in his like 60s or 70s, if not older.
Like modern day, like what year is the most recent movie?
I don't know what the newest one takes place. I think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull takes place in the 50s. But then I don't know. I don't know about the new one.
I know there's like a specific watch in there, and stuff, and he's like a retired teacher at this point, living alone in an old apartment.
Battle of Destiny takes place in 1969.
Okay, so like, they could easily do something where Short Round is now taking up the mantle, doing what Indy did at some point on there as like maybe a side gig on there. I think that would be an interesting thing. And I was kind of wishing they would have brought him in on one of the movies, like, and have him be like, Dr. Jones, and he's like, Short Round, and they hug, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But I mean, like, they had the guy that played Short Round as one of the guys in Loki. So yeah, the guy's worked at Disney, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think he's a stunt coordinator like Jackie Chan would be or something.
I don't know. So, but there you go. That is it for our Game of the Year lists for 2024. Let us know what your favorite games of the year were down in the comments. I'd love to see what games you guys played this year that you absolutely loved and would recommend people play.
Or else.
So, but that will be it for the show this week. That'll be it for 2024 for us. We'll be back sometime in January with a brand new episode. Maybe we'll do the predictions episode next. So, those are always fun.
We haven't done that in a while. That's going to be really fun.
We haven't done that in a while, so there you go. That is it for the show this week. We'll see everybody next time.
Happy New Year.